is the most vile, revolting, selfish, nasty piece of shit I've ever come across in my life.
Piers Morgan is one of the biggest fakes in Britain. This bloke is an establishment stooge. He's an actor for the deep state. He is absolutely a regime media man. And I am completely sick of him trying to present himself as some type of free speech champion, as some type of uncensored broadcaster, as some type of guy who challenges the authority when he is quite the opposite. Now, this has all exploded into public view because this dude has the thinnest skin in the world of celebrity. And for some time, despite my true disgust at Piers Morgan's behaviour, especially given what he did to the country over the COVID-19 pandemic, I tried not to get too personal. I mean, I would talk about his terrible antics over these years because I think he was actually one of the most destructive forces to the United Kingdom in COVID. But I was mates with his wife, who I used to work with. And so I tried not to get too personal, but I'm just done. I'm done. And I'll explain how this has all erupted, because I had the former Prime Minister Liz Truss on my show last week and, you know, I did describe Piers Morgan as a fucking wanker because I think he is. Watch. You can imagine, Liz, your trailer has brought out all the, can I just be honest about it, all the fucking wankers in the mainstream media. I'm just going to show you one example so you can respond directly. On watching your trailer yesterday, Piers Morgan posted, "Is this a joke?" What would be your response to him, Liz?
Well, given that he himself has his own independent media show, it seems slightly bizarre. I'm not surprised. Piers Morgan is, he pretends to be an independent media person, but he's just another creature of the British establishment.
And she's right. She is completely right about that because he's done no research into why she was defenestrated, for example, because he always goes with whatever the establishment narrative of the day is. That's what Piers Morgan has always done. And surprise, surprise, within hours of that interview going viral, Piers Morgan hit the block button. And so I just posted about it, right? I said he really is the most sensitive little woke poppet in Britain. Well, actually, usually his Beverly Hills mansion. I guess I joined the club of one of those white Englishmen he'd trade for a chicken tikka masala. The US needs to wake up to the fact Piers Morgan is the literal enemy. And of course, Piers Morgan then came back with a personal attack, which was intellectually dishonest and untrue. He responded saying, "You're a Kiwi, you fraud, born in New Zealand and didn't come to England until you were 21. Unlike me, who was born here. I'd definitely swap you for a good curry and send you back to Wellington. As for the US, they've never heard of you." So I just want to unpick that for one moment, because what I find hysterical about this is that Piers Morgan has jumped onto the anti-trans bandwagon pretty late, actually. There were lots of people, including people like me in the LGB community, doing it long before him. Because he always jumps on bandwagons late, by the way, when it's safe to do so. But he seems to understand that just because you say you're a woman doesn't make you a woman. But when it comes to ethnicity and race, Piers Morgan doesn't get it. Dan Wootton Outspoken is available as a podcast too. So to listen or watch us on the go, wherever you are, then please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And as a personal favour to me, please rate and review, as it really helps our independent show. So I responded back to him, and I made the point that he had blocked me again, so I couldn't actually RT me. This is how ludicrous Piers Morgan is. He went to unblock me briefly so he could post that tweet and then reblocked me. And I said, but to be clear, I'm ethnically English, 100%. And I am. My mum was born in Essex. My dad was born on a British Army base in Malta, but all of my dad's family were miners in South Shields. Many of them are still there. And I made the point that where you're born doesn't change your race, you fool. You seem to understand genetics with trans, but not ethnicity. And this is one of the real problems with Piers Morgan, and it's one of the reasons that he doesn't understand what is actually happening to our country, because he truly believes that if you are someone who moves to the United Kingdom, you then become British. And he'd never say that about Jamaicans or Japanese people or Nigerians. But of course, he's also one of these members of the elite class who is actually an anti-white racist. He has been propagating for people like Tommy Robinson to be ejected from the country, true Englishmen, in exchange for his ability to eat a chicken tikka masala. But there's lots wrong with Piers Morgan, so I did add in this little dispute. By the way, Piers Morgan is an enemy to the UK and a puppet of the establishment regime media and deep state. The most revolting COVID extremist and vaccine moron responsible for much of the mess we're in today, an anti-white racist who would happily swap English patriots for a curry, a Tommy Robinson as a far-right thug parrot, even when he belatedly realised Pakistani Muslim rape gangs were real, a fake free speech champion who hosts a show called Uncensored yet calls on Elon Musk to literally ban people from X who he doesn't like, but of course he'll happily interview them to chase clicks and clout, a moral vacuum of a man. Sure, he's rich and he's very famous, but he stands for absolutely nothing. Someone who cares more about being invited to Emily Maitlis's latest dinner party or texting Slippery Starmer than actually saving our country, which is an absolute crisis, something he doesn't realise or give a shit about, faking it with Americans from his Californian mansion. And I did want to include these two posts from Piers Morgan specifically because I think we should never forget what he did during COVID. I can never forgive this. Maybe you can, I can't. He posted, those who refuse to be vaccinated with no medical reason not to should be refused NHS care if they then catch COVID. I'm hearing of anti-vaxxers using up ICU beds in London at vast expense to the taxpayer. Let them pay for their own stupidity and selfishness. He went on, the furious determination of so many supposedly intelligent people to refuse to be vaccinated against COVID is staggering, incredibly stupid, and deeply depressing. What the fuck is wrong with you? But of course, he had to backtrack on his COVID militarism as more Brits woke up to the totalitarian propaganda forced down our throats by power-hungry scientists who he believed, hook, line and sinker, even though we were telling him at the time, Piers, this is all untrue. So he went on the Trigonometry podcast to try and backtrack.
But on that key point of the transmission, the scientists then said, a bit later, actually, it turns out there's not much difference between whether you've had the jab or not for transmission. And at that point, I realized everything I've been saying was completely wrong and completely unfair.
But we knew it was wrong at the time, Piers, and we told you. There was also another humiliating U-turn over his spat with the legendary tennis ace, Novak Djokovic.
I don't think you should be allowed anywhere near the US Open because America, if I want to go to America, which I will be quite soon, I have to take a test and show my vaccination status. That's it.
So does he.
Yeah. So he shouldn't be allowed to play, right? When I look back on that and reflect on that, I would like to say I'm sorry for the intemperate language I used against you because I didn't know you. I took what I was reading and hearing at face value. It turned out to be more complicated.
Now, yesterday, Piers booked Nick Fuentes on his show, Uncensored, hoping that he'd be showered with praise for challenging the US conservative commentator Firebrand. But the online reaction has swayed towards Fuentes, actually, after folk praised his performance at navigating through a typical, boring Piers Morgan gotcha interview. Watch. But first, the number one worst fruit for your waistline. Are you turning healthy fruits into highly unhealthy fruits without even realizing it? Fruit can be one of the healthiest things you can put into your body, but the majority of Americans are guilty of making this single mistake that can counteract all of the health benefits of fruit. Some fruits help with occasional constipation, reduce bloating, and even help burn calories. Others can wreak havoc on your digestive system and energy levels. I came across this viral presentation from world-renowned surgeon Dr. Stephen Gundry that showcases the 3 fruits to stop eating today. And it was shocking. I had no idea. And after finding it out, I've stopped eating these too. I'm going to put a link for you all to watch it because I want you to gain this information. I think it's truly important. You can watch it right now at thehealthyfat.com/outspoken. That's thehealthyfat.com/outspoken. I also linked it in the description box below the video too, so make sure to click on it or just go to thehealthyfat.com/outspoken. Oh, and by the way, Eliminating these fruits could forever change the way we help increase energy levels, decrease brain fog, support digestion, and even lose weight. So make sure to click below or go to thehealthyfat.com/outspoken to find out now. Dr. Gundry has lost 70 pounds himself using his research and has kept the weight off for over 20 years and counting. His digestive issues are gone, his health is fantastic, and he feels younger and healthier today than he did in his 40s. His video has been watched by over 20 million people to date, and you can watch and learn more about it at thehealthyfat.com/outspoken. It's linked at the bottom of this video, but he'll teach you exactly how he has kept his weight off for free at thehealthyfat.com/outspoken. Just click on the link in the description below the video. But now, back to the show.
The point of this interview is to go over the things you've said, which have led people to reach conclusions about you, and to ascertain whether those conclusions are fair and reasonable or not. That's it. I want to play you another clip. This is what you talk about.
And the lack of self-awareness is amazing. You're a boomer. You're a 60-year-old boomer. You know, your show is called Piers Morgan Uncensored.
Yep.
But the United Kingdom is censored and Europe is censored. And if you talk about these things, you will be put in jail in many countries. And I think that's where a lot of people start to say, well, if the truth is so clear and if there's such overwhelming evidence, why do you need to throw people in jail for disagreeing? And you yourself said, well, there is no debate. I think everything is debatable. I think everything at least should be debated. And
Of course it should. And he also called out the hypocrisy of the Uncensored brand as well. And I think he was right to do so. I really do. Although perhaps he was wrong to actually do the interview with Piers Morgan in the first place and give him the attention he so desires. By the way, as well, if you're wondering, why is it that Piers Morgan always manages to stay out of the media despite digging on everyone else's private lives? I did reveal this little nugget yesterday on X. If you wonder why Piers Morgan is protected by the deep state and the MSM, it's because of his relationships with editors. When I was at The Sun, both Tony Gallagher and Victoria Newton, the current editor of The Sun and The Times, bought stories off the market that included grim pics of a very small-looking mushroom cock. And that is all I will say about that, Carol McGiffin. But I will say that this man is a mushroom cock in so many ways. I'm totally sick of it. And I am totally sick of his absolute double standards, by the way, when it comes to the US and the UK.
I'm not doing your show anymore because now you've made me start thinking about Piers Morgan's cock. It's just
It's
stop.
not pretty. Trust me, Carol.
Stop.
It's not pretty.
No, listen, I've always said he really is the world's worst, if not person, hypocrite. You're right, he stands for absolutely nothing. And he was the worst person ever in the the fake pandemic. And do you know what? I forgot that he even wrote a book that came out in 2021, I think it was, called Wake Up. And you just think, you're telling people to wake up to what? You're fast asleep. You can't see what's going on here. And you're demonizing people who are not vaccinated. Honestly, he's the worst kind of toad. I loathe him more and more each day. I've had a few spats with him. He's blocked me, and I've never blocked him. I just don't I try not to pay attention to him. And actually, your point about Nick Fuentes doing that show, he should have not done it. He should have said no. Don't give him the oxygen, because he knows what he's doing. He absolutely knows what he's doing. And I saw a video today of Nick Fuentes talking about Piers Morgan starting on his father or something, like
Yes.
naming his father and
Doxing him, he
calling him a
claims.
racist. Yeah. And I mean, it's so disgusting. And Nick was saying, oh, he knows what he's doing. He does know what he's doing. And he's doing it to get attention. He doesn't care. He is the most vile, revolting, selfish, nasty piece of shit I've ever come across in my life.
Yeah.
And I know I've got, I won't talk about Meghan Markle. I'm not going to talk about Piers Morgan anymore.
That's going to be the rule. Okay, this will be the last time, Carol. This will be the last time I ask you to do this. But look, for me, because he's got this really lovely wife, Celia Walden, and she used to do my show on GB News all the time. So I tried to like, I wouldn't not say things about COVID, but I tried to not make it personal because she's actually a really good woman, right? And a nice woman. And I don't know how she puts up with them. I mean, I don't think she puts up with them much, to be honest. That they seem to hardly be together. And I think she's very wise to deal with it that way. But the infuriating thing about him is that he keeps on talking about the independence of his show, but he's already sold, Carol, Uncensored, to a whole load of highest bidders. You know, he claims it's now valued at $130 million or something like that. He's constantly in Qatar, speaking at conferences in Qatar. There's nothing independent about this man. His show was funded by $150 million from Rupert Murdoch. You know, it's the least independent thing ever.
Well, that's what makes him the world's worst hypocrite. He really has no integrity for anything at all. Even all the books that he writes, it's all about making money, like he needs any more money. And it's like a sickness with him. He'll step on anyone. He'll walk over anyone or anything in order to get more publicity for himself and make more money. And it's really not very well. And the saddest thing is he has a hell of a lot of people completely fooled who think that he's like the greatest thing ever. And, you know, he tells it like it is and all of this. He'll tell it like it is, but he'll be telling you what they're telling him to tell you what it is. He is a total shill, and he was 100% shill all the way through the COVID thing. And it's kind of unforgivable, really.
Well, it is. It is. The way that he acted was unforgivable because remember what he did during COVID, and look at all of the problems that we're dealing with in the United Kingdom today, Carol, from the economy to the fucked up justice system to the education system, you know, everything. Not to mention why young white boys feel so pissed off with the system, you know, because they were locked in their room during those formative years.
Exactly.
So much of it is down to him because every single day he went on woke ITV, he demanded that the government take further actions that were debilitating to us, debilitating to our freedoms, debilitating to our finances. And do you know why he did it, Carol? Ratings. Because we were all trapped in our houses. And at that point, the independent media hadn't really exploded. And so what did everyone do? They turned on the television and he became an egomaniac. The government became obsessed with him. Do you remember the government? Oh, I'll never forgive him. I'll never forgive him. It was all performative. And then do you remember he went to one of the Caribbean islands? After all of that.
He went on holiday. The worst thing about it all was the Matt Hancock thing. When he was on announcing, we found a vaccine, while he was actually laughing. And Piers Morgan goes, you seem very emotional about this. And I just wanted to punch them both. But it's almost like Piers will just say anything that he thinks people want to hear. He thinks he wants to be on the right side of history, but he absolutely is not. Even his new book, the woke is dead or whatever, it's just bollocks.
Carol, he's woke. He's totally woke.
Of course he is. He's woke. He's woker than the wokest. Woke. That guy on GB News is worse than that.
And he loves cancel culture. This is the hilarious thing. It's like, you keep saying uncensored. It's like, you were campaigning for like Kanye West to be removed from X. It's so ironic. And I just think he gets away with a lot of it because Americans don't know the true Piers Morgan. They don't know the damage that Piers Morgan has caused to this country. They don't know about his anti-white racism. They don't know about his behavior during COVID. They don't know about the ways that he campaigned against Donald Trump. I mean, he said the most disgusting things about Donald Trump when he knew that Donald Trump was on the outer. As soon as he was back trying to get the interview. Thank God Donald Trump hasn't done it yet. And I really pray that he holds firm.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.